You should not be selling colouring books on Amazon KDP. Here's why. For many of us, colouring books were a fantastic way to learn about self-publishing and make a few sales on Amazon KDP. However, now the barrier to entry is just so low for colouring books, it means that the marketplace has been absolutely flooded. It's exactly the same thing that happened to notebooks back in the day. If you watch back some old YouTube videos, for example, you'll see that people said that, you could make thousands of dollars just by selling lined notebooks. There was an opportunity at one point to do that, but as more and more products entered the marketplace, the opportunity became less and less. And that's exactly what has happened for colouring books as well. Because there's so many colouring books out there now on Amazon KDP, it makes it incredibly difficult to break through, make sales, and obviously what we all want to be doing at the end of the day is making profit. So obviously this is my opinion, and there are other people out there who will be making sales selling colouring books. But I think for the vast majority of us self-publishers, I'd advise you to look into different areas. So first of all, we're going to look at the rise of AI. And this is the main reason that colouring books have become overly saturated on Amazon. Because literally anyone could make a 50-page colouring book in a matter of minutes. And so if we come on over to Midjourney, which is a text-to-image AI tool, all you need to do is enter a prompt. So here, for example, we put colouring page, young woman wearing fashionable outfit for a fashion show, hat, earrings, bag, coat on a white background. And you can see here that that's exactly what Midjourney has created. And whilst this isn't the absolute best quality, there's so many colouring books out there that have 50 pages of this type of content. And so if I come on over to Amazon and search for fashion colouring book, you can see here that there's over 7,000 results. And that's because you can create a colouring book in a matter of minutes or hours if you put a little bit more effort in. And so it's just going to be incredibly hard to compete with these products. And that's generally because, there's so much competition. The amount of money you'd need to spend on ads to rank here on this first page would be too high. You might even need to spend thousands of dollars just to rank on this first page. And so well done to these books. They're probably going to get quite a lot of sales, but it's just such a competitive niche. And not only has AI made it incredibly easy for people to make colouring books, it's also had a bit of an impact on the way that Amazon customers see colouring books as well. A lot of people don't want that low quality AI generated content. They want hand illustrated, hand drawn, supporting real artists, which is absolutely fair enough. And that's a pushback that I've seen on Amazon over the past 12 months. So that's another reason that if you're creating AI generated colouring books, you're likely to receive some negative reviews due to the AI content. I only see this becoming more and more of a trend as time goes on. Now, as I showed you here, there's just so much competition in pretty much any area of colouring books. And what some people might tell you is that you need to niche down. So let's come over to Amazon and try and niche down. So instead of looking for fashion colouring book, we're looking for fashion colouring book for girls ages 4 to 8. And so now we're down to over 3,000 results. So there might be an opportunity to rank here if we spend, say, a few $100s on that keyword. But the issue is, who's searching for that search term? Who realistically is looking for a fashion colouring book for girls aged 4 to 8? The answer is probably not many people. And so if we look at this colouring book here, which looks really nice, it came out well over a year ago. And if we scroll down to the bestseller rank, you can see that it's around 3 million in books. That means it's hardly making any sales. Yet this colouring book is ranking number 3 for this search term. And that's the issue with niching down. Because if you niche down too far like this, there's just not enough interest, even if you can rank on that first page. And so what I've seen people start to do is to trust brands a lot more on Amazon. So you've got some really famous brands out there for colouring books on Amazon, like Coco and Jade Summer. And so what I've seen, especially in the colouring book niche, is more people supporting an artist that they like. They know it's going to be high quality, there's less of a risk there, and they'll support all of their new releases. And so that's great for those brands, they're building that loyal customer base. It also then gives an opportunity for copycats to flood the marketplace and to create things like their new releases, this bold and easy style that Coco and Jade Summer has made so popular is being replicated by pretty much anyone now who's making colouring books. And so people are trying to now tap into this bold and easy colouring book niche, but it is incredibly competitive. And also now, because there's a load of copycats popping up now in this niche, I think people are going to focus in on brands even more. That definitely gives you an opportunity, if you want to create a really strong brand and you're willing to invest a lot of time and effort and money into making a brand like Coco.io or Jade Summer, but your content has to be incredibly high quality. And I'd argue you need a bit of a follower base as well to try and drive those initial sales at the beginning. But if you can do that, that's probably the way to focus on colouring books on Amazon KDP. It's to build a brand and to keep creating high quality books from that one pen name. Otherwise, if you're just doing a bit of a scattergun approach, kind of like I do, you're likely going to really struggle to get sales. And I can show you an example here. So this is a colouring book that I launched in January this year. It's my most recent one because now I've stopped creating colouring books. But you can see here that it got 2 sales. One at the end of January and one in the middle of February. So this colouring book made me around $4 in royalties. But if we come on over to my ad spend for this book, you can see here that I spent almost $31 and just got 1 order through ads. So straight away that makes me think that the book probably wasn't good enough. Maybe the front cover wasn't strong enough. Maybe it was priced a little bit too high. Maybe the targeting of my ads wasn't quite right. But I've seen this happen over and over again with colouring books. If you watch my income report videos that I post every month, I go into all of my details through my ads, and I tend to get 1 order every 8-ish clicks. And so to get 1 order from 53 clicks, in my opinion, just shows how difficult it is to break through in this area. And so from this one colouring book, I spent $31, made $4 back, so I lost about $27 on this one colouring book. Now, if we compare that to an activity book, so this is an activity book that I made in the middle of January. So you can see there, I've had 125 orders for this book. Just to note that all of these stats are USA only. That's because it's a bit easier to show you the ads and link it up to the ad spend and the royalties and all that kind of thing. So in the USA, this has made 125 sales. And in terms of ads, I've spent $159 on this book launch. So you can see straight away that I got 53 orders from 321 clicks. So that click to purchase ratio is so much better with this activity book. And therefore the ACOS is so much stronger at just over 26%. But what's great about ads, and this is why I launch every single book that I publish with ads, is that you can generate additional organic sales. So as you saw, I got 53 orders through my ads, but I've sold 125 books in total. And that's because those ads have helped that book rank organically for certain search terms. So that's led to 70 additional orders, as well as the ones that I've driven through my ads. So those 125 orders have netted me around $321 in royalties. So if we take the ad spend of around 160 off that 320, you can see this one activity book has made me over $160 in the US alone in the first couple of months. And that's the difference that I'm finding between colouring books and activity books at the moment on Amazon KDP. I'm just finding it so hard to break through and actually make decent sales with colouring books. I've done it before, and I've still got a few books that are ranking well and making me ongoing sales. But any new books that I'm making, I'm finding it very hard to break through, to rank well and make organic sales. And just to show you another example, this bar chart here shows my last 10 colouring books that I've made over probably the last 12 months. And this is the sales that they've generated for this year. So all of that time and effort and research to create 10 colouring books has netted me $123 in royalties for the first 3 months of this year. Now hopefully that'll increase throughout the year, and then fingers crossed there'll be a little bit of a Christmas boom for a few of these books that are ranking well. However, the ones that aren't ranking well will see no boost. So for 10 colouring books, that's not an impressive amount of money. Also, on top of this, I would have ran ads, and I probably would have spent at least that amount of money on my ads for these 10 books. So I've probably made a loss on these 10 colouring books as a whole. Now, there are definitely still a few small opportunities with colouring books, but it's all about identifying a niche where there's still a lot of demand, but the quality of colouring books out there is not very high. Because if you can deliver something that's so much better than what's already out there, there's an opportunity to stand out. Otherwise, you probably need to look at creating a brand and publishing a lot of colouring books to that pen name and trying to build a following that way. So back in the day, colouring books used to be an easy way to, publish books and get some sales. Whereas now I think you need to adopt a longer term approach, build a brand, and make sure you're focusing on very, very high quality books. So that's my thoughts on colouring books on Amazon KDP in 2025 and beyond. I know there's other people out there who have made a lot of sales, and I know there's loads of people out there who've made 0 sales. How have you got on with colouring books? Drop a comment down below and let us know. Alright, that's it for this video. Make sure to sign up to my mailing list if you've not already, and I'll see you in the next video.